All right, let's get to the more traditional news at this time of year. It's
Yeah.
recruiting and official visits coming up in June. So a couple big-time players coming in, Landon Hatchett and Cedric Baxter in June. And I got to admit, Hatchett must be a player, but his rankings don't look that impressive. But Michigan's going after him, Oregon, Texas A&M. So I got to think that his ranking's going to shoot up at some point.
Yeah, he's a guy that's had a pretty good spring going out on the camp circle, and A&M was among several schools to extend an offer earlier this spring, and has kind of made him a bit of a target. A&M, if I check correctly, he made a visit in April for the spring game. Really enjoyed it. Really liked the visit, and so the offer came across on February 1st. And now he'll be back for an official visit later this month if A&M chooses to kind of push for him. And, it'll be interesting to see where they land. He's got his official visit set and is looking at a decision like a lot of kids do this time of year ahead of their senior year. They just kind of want to get the recruitment out the way and kind of make their decision by the end of the summer. So he's coming off an official visit to Oregon, which will certainly be a school to watch. A&M, he's got them on June 10th, Michigan, June 17th. USC June 21st, and then Washington on June 24th. So those are kind of the schools in the mix right now. And, so much can happen on official visits. It's you spending 2 days there, and you really get a deep look at the academics and all that. So so much can shift and change. But, I think it'll be an important one because Steve Adazio is obviously being there a couple months now and is kind of getting settled. So those 48 hours will be a chance to kind of get to know Steve Adazio on a deeper level and really learn more about the program and see everything he needs to see with a decision expected later that month.
Cedric Baxter is the 4th rated running back in the country, a top 12 player in the state of Florida, and he makes his way to College Station a couple weeks later.
Yeah, and so he's a guy that A&M was actually out to see last night at a spring game. We're still in the spring evaluation period, so A&M running backs coach Tommy Robinson was out to watch him at his spring game last year, and it's pretty clear he's emerged as kind of the top target. Him and Ruben Owens are kind of the top 2 running back targets for A&M. He's already made a couple of visits to A&M. He was at a camp last summer. And then did kind of a 2-day swing through Texas and Texas A&M. And it sounds like he's kind of looking at maybe making another swing through both Texas and Texas A&M later this summer for an unofficial visit. And then is gonna look at official visits down the line. He's not got any official visits set up yet. He's got a top 5 of Arkansas, Florida, Miami, Texas, and Texas A&M. And is kind of looking at the fall to maybe make his official visits. And then, he's probably a guy that'll make a decision closer to the early signing period and December. But, Florida and Miami are 2 schools he can get to pretty easily and does all the time. So those are not hard ones for him to get to. And Arkansas is a school that he really likes in terms of the coaching staff. I've heard a lot of good feedback on the Arkansas staff, and Sam Pittman quietly does a really good job in Arkansas, and just, there's kind of a homey environment there, kind of a family feel. And, and Texas and Texas A&M, he likes a lot as well. And both schools are pushing really, really hard for him. And the interesting part about that is really for both Texas and Texas A&M, Texas already has a commitment from Trey Wisner, but Ruben Owens and Cedric Baxter are kind of the top 2 for both schools. And so it's going to be really interesting to kind of watch that battle over the next couple of months and where things kind of shake out there, because both are certainly going after both guys really hard.
It's interesting and kind of fun to look at running back in particular stats at the high school level, because these guys, when he's the 4th best running back in the country, is going to be ripping through defenses, because there's only a few players typically on the other side of the ball that are nearly as good as him. 22 touchdowns, 8.3 yards per carry, over 1,600 yards, 89-yard touchdown run included for Cedric Baxter. It's kind of also interesting when you mention the schools that are involved right there in the state of Florida, and then he's veering west all the way to Arkansas, Texas, Texas A&M. So that's kind of interesting as well.
Yeah, it is very, and he also plays some. He's also played some linebacker as well. So really, I got a chance to see him at a camp last summer. He came through with a pretty good group, and just a really well built kid. He's really strong in the upper body, and kind of looks like one of those guys when you look at a guy that could have 20 to 20. He's 6'1", 215. Just the type of guy you feel like could carry the ball 20 to 25 times in the SEC and take that on a week-to-week basis. And so really strong kid. And I think that's why both schools are, a lot of schools are really high on him, is they feel like he can be an every down type of back that they can rely on.